As the very last part in this module here, I want to explain something or teach you something which we kind of already saw, but you don't know how to use yet. With the life cycles, you got the content checked on content init and the view checked and view init hooks. But yeah, what's exactly up with that content and view stuff? Content, of course, refers to the ng content place or rendering place here where you can put data from outside into your component. And view refers to the elements natively in your component template. But how can you work with all of that? The first important thing are local references or variables. So in my lifecycle component here still, I can give this paragraph a local variable or a reference by adding hashtag bound paragraph. This is Angular 2 syntax, which now created a reference for this paragraph. Throughout this template, I can now use this local variable. I can use this reference. For example, I could add another paragraph right below, and I could use string interpolation to then use bound paragraph, the variable I just created inside of this template, to output the text content. Now, if I save this, you see that I got 1002 times, and both is updated, because I'm binding this paragraph to this reference, and then I access the text of the paragraph through this bound variable here and output it with string interpolation. So this is how I can use local variables in my templates. Now basically here I can access whichever properties this element might have. So if I would have an input field here instead of a paragraph, I might access the value property to get the value of this input. And this is a great way to work with different elements in a template, where I can use the references to, well, use it all over the place there and access the different fields and properties. However, the reference created here, bound paragraph, is not usable in this class body here. If I try to access bound paragraph, for example, let's say here, bound paragraph, this won't work. The same is true if I use this bound paragraph. This doesn't work because it's inside the template. It's a local variable inside this template. If I still, and I will get rid of this, if I still want to have access to it, I can though. I can add a new property, so property in the class body, and I will name this bound paragraph, and I will add some metadata here, the ViewChild metadata, which I of course have to import from Angular 2 core. This ViewChild metadata or decorator here expects an input, an argument, and it expects the name of this local variable in the template, so bound paragraph. So this name I pass here has to match the name in the template. Then Angular 2 is able to select it and bind it to this bound paragraph. And this will be of type HTML element, of course. Now I can use this, and the best place is here, ng after view init. Let me log this bound paragraph, because we should be able to log it as it should be initialized. So if this reloads, you see that after view init is executed, and I'm logging this bound paragraph element, which is of course a paragraph element with all the default HTML properties you know. If I try to do the same thing, logging it in an earlier stage where the view has not been fully initialized, you see that it will work down here, because here we are already past the first initialization. But here, right at the beginning, where we're executing this the first time, we get undefined because it hasn't been set up yet. Before, we didn't get this, right? We got the element because we executed it after ViewInit. So these are ViewChilds, and this is how we can use them, the local references we set up in the HTML code in our template, in the class body. And we might have use cases where we want to do this. Of course, this allows us to manipulate them too, though in the directives module, you will learn how to, well, be careful when manipulating DOM elements. Another thing is we might want to do the same thing for, well, the content being passed here in place of the ng content hook. So if I go to first app component and I give this paragraph a local variable of bound content, now I'd like to use this here. Can I do this? Of course I can. I'll replace this ViewChild import here with ContentChild, and I'll add a new property here. Now this is bound content I want to select. Bound content will also be an HTML element. Now if I try to output this in the after content init hook, let's see what happens. You see that now again I'm outputting this native paragraph element, which of course refers to this starting value, as you can see by the inner text it has. So this is my way of accessing either my direct ViewChilds, so everything which is not inside ng content, or the childs of the external content, so the stuff which lives inside of ng content. And the lifecycle hooks here tell me when I'm able to use that after the content has been initialized, after the view has been initialized. Before this hook has been reached, this will result in an error or in an undefined property. I can't access this upon component initialization because yes, the properties here have been set up, but the template hasn't. The content isn't there yet. So this will result in an undefined result. And that's very important that you know that you got the opportunity of using these local variables inside your template to also get them inside your class body with ViewChild and ContentChild, and to combine all of that with your lifecycle hooks to really achieve what you want to achieve with your components.